Brooks to the microphone as she gives you her message this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Welcome to all, and I'm glad to be here in Molly News. Members and friends of the People's Action Movement, a pleasant good night. Today has been a wonderful day, an energetic day, a fiery day. People's Action Movement is on the road to victory, and we are leaving no stones unturned, and we are ensuring that we touch every constituency. Constituency number 1 is gearing up for victory. I have my teams out in their numbers, and we are taking home the seat for the People's Action Movement. But some people may ask, why? Why are you getting involved in politics? My answer is easy. I recently gave birth to a baby girl. You all might know that. That is my why. My why is that my son and daughter must have a better life. They must enjoy living in the country of their birth and be able to fulfill their dreams. A nation united for the betterment of all. Like many of you, I had great hopes for the Team Unity administration with PAM, CCM, and PLP. However, the concept of unity did not resonate too well with some partners to the arrangement. But PAM and CCM stand firm with the concept of unity. And I too hold firm to that concept. I believe that my children's best hope for the future is one where political parties can come together with a single mission of ensuring that not just Kittitians, but also Visions, regardless of their political affiliation, get their fair share. My why is that I believe by standing together, we can achieve anything. We can achieve more as a people. Your PAM-inspired unity government has been instrumental in planting the seeds for the building of the future we all seek. Our focus is nothing less than putting people first. That was not lost under the unity concept. We still believe in putting people first. If you believe that the People's Action Movement believe in putting people first, can I hear you? Yes. Don't care what slogan the thief, you would not see them being able to fulfill what we can achieve on behalf of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Our focus must remain putting people first. We fought hard to ensure that all partners under the unity banner adopted that mentality. However, some have strayed. But when members of that union began to move away from that concept, we had to take a stance. We had to take a stance and ensure that we take steps to safeguard the gains that we have made over the past 7 years. And I congratulate my colleagues for taking that principled stance. We are committed to keeping the promise to you, the voters, in this great federation. The social programs, such as the STEPS, were developed by the People's Action Movement Majority Cabinet to ensure that our people, especially the young people, are put in the best position going forward. We understand that skills and entrepreneurial training are essential. They are essential to the components for our young people to be given a fair shot in life. That's what putting people first looks like. And that is my why. My why is to be a part of a united team under the banner of real unity, made up of men and a lone female who share the same mission, the same vision, and the same passion and love for this nation. We in the People's Action Movement, we love you. Our brothers and sisters in CCM, they love you too. And we would ensure that we do whatever it takes to make sure that the citizens of this great nation have a wonderful life, a marvelous life, and have the best standard of living that we can achieve for them. We cannot confront the demands of the times in which we live if we are not all committed to working together for the good of all. If ever there was a time in which the lesson was obvious, it would be the last 2 years, as we weathered a pandemic which demanded the heart and soul of the very fabric of our nation, fighting a common enemy together. COVID-19 knew no bounds. I too had COVID-19, and I spent 2 whole weeks in the hospital battling COVID-19. But I am here today fighting on your behalf to ensure that you have the best future possible. Our children are now facing a present such as we, their parents, have never seen. Our collective future is one of uncertainty, but we cannot be daunted under the weight of the times. In this defining moment, where governments are called on to protect and take care of all of their citizens, not just some, we must ensure that unity in security remains our watchwords. It's unity in the security of and provisions for every citizen that must underpin our short and long-term economic plan. In a world of risks, PAM will ensure that our people, our families, and our economy are protected. My why is the young lady who stood up during the Townhall meeting in Constituency number 6 on Monday and said that she was a mother and that she feels as though she is part of the growing number of people in this country who have been left behind. We don't want anyone to be left behind. In the People's Action Movement, we continue to put people first. Constituency number 7, you would not be left behind. Even if you support the People's Labour Party or the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, you will not left behind. We think of all our citizens. We don't watch party colors. We ensure that we continue to put our people first. And so, we would never forget you. We would never forget you, and we would never leave you behind. My heart broke for that lady on Monday because I've heard of these stories before. I've lived these stories. These stories are my why. Economic reform, political reform, and social reform must go hand in hand. We cannot build a strong society if thousands feel disconnected or shut off from it. The people of Constituency number 7 listen to us from the People's Action Movement and the Concerned Citizens Movement. This is one of the most important elections we would witness in the history of this federation. It is very crucial. It is not just about PAM or CCM. It is about saving our nation. We must act now in order to safeguard the gains that the People's Action Movement have made through real unity. One where the stories of our citizens being left behind become something of the past. I urge you tonight to step forward, let your voices be heard, and tell your story. Tell us your why. Good night, and God bless you.
Give another round of applause. What a presentation by Shani. I want to say to you that yesterday, we launched a candidate in constituency number 8. The People's Action Movement. We are a movement. The Concerned Citizens Movement, they are a movement. And together we are going to move St. Kitts and Nevis forward. We are focused. We are very, very focused. We are focused on the future. We are focused on the future because the future lies in the young people. And we have to preserve the future for them. We can't squander our gains and our opportunities because our children and our grandchildren are expecting us to provide a better future for them. We have to do better and to develop agriculture on a much larger and bigger and better scale. And that is why when the bell is rung and we go to the polls, you think about us and our policy on agriculture, which we lay out as we go through the weeks of the campaigning. But yesterday we launched a candidate. He is not an individual unknown to you in Molyneux or unknown to you in the rest of St. Kitts and Nevis. This not-so-young man is one of the top criminal lawyers in St. Kitts and the region. He has come forward with his commitment to the movement. He has come forward with his commitment to the movement because he believes in good governance. And he believes that we need new policies to drive St. Kitts and Nevis. So I bring to the microphone to you the young man who we launched just yesterday from constituency number 8, and in particular from Keyon. I want to bring to you to the microphone Chesley O'Neill Hamilton. O'Neill Hamilton. I'm giving him a different middle name.
Members and friends of the People's Action Movement, good night. And those of you abroad, no matter what your color or your persuasion, good evening, good night. Mr. Chairman, how much time I have? They say I have 10 minutes. But I'm going to indulge you for an extra 2 or 3, please. And why I'm doing that? Why I have to do that? Because I ran in this constituency before. And I won twice. And I want to thank the people of constituency 7. Some who have gone before me. Some who are still around who supported PLP. And some who feel that the People's Action Movement may have left them without any choice. People like Doreen Phipps. people like Seki, people like those kind of people who rallied with me when I was in this constituency. People, some of them still around. The Jameses, the Sioux, people who, no matter where I went, they were there with me. People like Musa, people like Miss Rollins, Springer. No matter where I went, they were there for me in this constituency, family after family. And PAM had a little core of voters, no matter who was the candidate. You know, the People's Action Movement have come this time, and we say we're going to launch candidates in all of the constituency, and we're not going to abandon you. But we're going to form the government. And I gave the people of constituency number 7 my commitment that whether you have a candidate there or a representative there or not, I wouldn't forget where I started my political career in this country in constituency number 7, and I won't be ungrateful to you. That word ungrateful is the word that I really want to talk about tonight. Because I remember in 2014, 13, 14, and 15, going to Trinidad with the Honorable Sean K. Richards. And we were in Trinidad, and we had to get shirts and banners and flags and all sorts of things for the unity construct. And while we were down there, we keep telling a certain person, we got things for CCM, which is blue and white. We got things for PAM, which is yellow. And we're not going to color for you. What color we must buy. And man not spend the money now. We spend. I said we need a color. Man choose a color. It could be purple. Any color. I need to buy the stuff. Anyway, when he couldn't make up his mind, anything that you had from that campaign that was white is because he couldn't make up his mind. But we also tell him, give us a party name. Not even that the man had. I say, you want to be something with Labour? Say you're the real Labour Party. Or you're the real Labour movement. I would prefer movement because we have People's Action Movement, Concerned Citizen Movement. I will like the real Labour movement. But he decided he still wanted to be Labour Party. See, he think he take a piece of the PAM, the people. So you got the People's Labour Party. You want a piece of PAM, you want a piece of Labour. But he still want party. He don't want nothing to do with the movement. And that is why he was never a part of the movement. But I want to say this, and somebody might think about this is not good. But I want to show you the depths of the man. We took him to a place where we were doing the messaging. One of the best messaging persons in the Caribbean, and he has worked with the Democratic Party and so on. We took him there in the morning. Sean and I, we reach. Sean, now wake up early, them days. I got to go down when it comes to breakfast and hold a table for him. But he get up early, we went to this meeting. When we reached, there's a spread as long as this table. Sean and I, we sat down and we watched this spread. No, we don't move. He came, he watched this spread, he said, I could stop here watching food and me, and me hungry, me want food. But that was not the problem, because if you're hungry and food is there, eat. But I was embarrassed. He take a plate and he plate how he saw. And you dig in and you dig in. And Sean and I, we look at each other and say, really? Really? I mean, take a little bit and go back for seconds. My mama always say, don't pile up your plate. Go back for seconds. It's better to go back for seconds and look decent than to have a mountain of food on your plate. That is the kind of person we have representing us. People with no class. You know? And I ain't going to stop there. Since this thing happened, he called a family member of mine. And if you want to know the family member of mine, I attended a funeral and he was the one talking about food in the family, in the funeral, and who feed him and who didn't feed him. It wasn't me. But he called the family member and he said, they want the support. Family said, I not support you. You wrong. You come in unity with your one seat and the man give you prime minister. You're ungrateful. That's what the family member told him. You are ungrateful. Because you come with your one seat and the man give you prime minister. You come back with two, he give you prime minister. You're ungrateful. Me not support you. And therefore, I just wanted to let you know that in Constituency 7, I was in Constituency 7 this morning, and I can give you a little joke. The DPP asked me if a certain road we're going on is dirt. It is still dirt from 2017. I said to the DPP, Mr. DPP, every road in Constituency 7 is paved. And he laughed. Because, you see, the man only look after himself. And the road that I was on is a road enlarged way up past the school. Every road paved, but road down in Lindsay's constituency since before Lindsay became the can't get paved. Can't get paved. Can't get paved. Why? Because he doesn't want Lindsay to look good. He doesn't want Lindsay to look good. Because if Lindsay look good, PAM look good. And like Dr. Simmons said, his favorite line, hell no. I am not going to be of anything you could say the Concerned Citizen Movement. You could say the PLP, but you can't say the People's Action Movement. Hell no. Hell no. In the words of Dr. Simmons. I am PAM. I remember the days of Evan Woodley PAM. People like that made sure they let you know that they were PAM. They put PAM in front and after their name. And those are the people, when I come here, I come to represent. I just want to say good night to my friend Sean. Cutie. Cutie, good night. I know you're not here, but people like them we want to thank because they rallied with us everywhere we went. And everywhere we went, we were doing good. And we continue to do good. And we want to continue to do the good. I want you to get people who are going to represent you, who are going to do it and move the agenda forward for the young people, for the children. The last thing I want to talk about is the peace. I want to talk about the peace because there are a lot of people who want to know claim the peace. There was a community meeting here in Molyneux where Timothy Harris came to you and he said, Lord, your mother got them criminals in your house and I must turn them over to the police. Because when they did their bloody smoke in your face and John, they need to done with it. Now we still want to claim the peace and the youngsters now, today, because he wants to bribe them with 30 pieces of silver. But we are not Judas. The people of Constituency 7 are not Judases. Neither would they deny who they are. So we don't deny the People's Action Movement. We don't, by not saying that we are PAM. And we don't turn Judas for 30 pieces of silver. We are neither of those. We will be PAM in any movement. Whether with the Concerned Citizenship or any other person who want to join with us, we are a movement, we are on the move. The People's Action Movement is on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We are on the move. And we're going to be on the move for this country. Lastly, I want to say about the peace. We cannot have true and lasting peace unless we have truth and reconciliation. Truth and reconciliation. In other words, if we want to take care of those who we say went astray and was gangbanging, we can take care of them. But what about those who lost their loved ones? What about those who are still mourning? What about those who are still grieving? I am simply saying that true and everlasting peace will come when we have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We still have to even take care of those who are behind bars, serving term and so on, so that if they can come to atonement, we can say, you too can find a place in this country after you have been rehabilitated. We are going to leave nobody behind. Nobody behind. Because we have to take the true measure of a country is not how we look after the best. It's how we look after the most vulnerable among us. Those who can't afford it. Those who don't have education. Those who are falling through the gap. The handicaps. Through the gaps. The handicaps. Those who are sick. Those who are shut in. Those who can't do it for themselves. You give them a hand up, not a handout. And that is what I'm saying to you, that the People's Action Movement is here. Please support the candidates of the People's Action Movement. Please give Sean Kenneth Richards your support because he is a good leader. I wouldn't be here if Sean couldn't lead me. I wouldn't be here if Sean couldn't lead me. Let me say this. I don't say the last thing, but let me say this. When the leadership of PAM came up, it was an easy choice. Lindsay was my cousin. Eugene Hamilton was my cousin. I could have easily said one family to the next. But I said no. This man is 10 years younger than me. He is in parliament. He has the experience. And therefore, if he can take the leadership now, 10 years later, he will be able to lead this country. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the verge of 10 years later, and my words are coming to pass because I am here to finish the job, to see Sean K. Richards as the next Prime Minister of this country. I was right. I was right because Eugene Hamilton was 10 years older than me. Timothy Harris is old like me. And Sean K. Richards is 10 years younger than me. I saw the future, people. And the future look bright. The future look bright. If you see me walking around tongue in shades, it's not because the sun is in my eyes. It's because the future is so bright, I got to wear shades. Good night and God bless you.
The future looks bright over here in Molyneux and in the entire St. Kitts and Nevis. I like that. The future looks bright. I'm saying to you, just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, they came with some pictures on the internet talking about which party is ready and have their candidates and which party is not ready. And one of the things they were saying is that the People's Action Movement, we did not have candidates. And now we start to roll out the candidates. They're shaking in their boots. Because we brought them 2 candidates just recently this week. Yesterday and today. And all I hearing across the length and breadth of this country now, my mother's with PAM. PAM got a wicked team. PAM got the A team. PAM is ready like Freddie. And come the next general election, we're going to have the next Prime Minister in Sean K. Richards. And I just want to say to them, this week was 8, and this week was 3. I ain't saying next week because my leader will tell me when. But soon to come will be 6 and 7. Because we're running a full slate of 8 candidates in St. Kitts. You see, we are principled people. We are a principled party. Remember, don't forget, when they came first, they had 2 seats they were running in. Correct? We were running in 6 seats. The agreement was, I not encroaching on you, and you don't encroach on me. Fair play. When it came up to the 2020 election, they came and said they want to field a candidate in number 6. And true to form, as my leader is, he said, no problem. Let us run. You can run in 6. So they ended up running in 3. And we ran in 5. And then months and months and months, you see people walking around in the constituencies that PAM in PLP shirts. And when you go to the man, and you say, what is happening here? This is against the agreement. He said, boy, I don't know anything about that. He never know nothing yet. Every time you confront him on an issue, he never know. And you will see some of the same people, they have been walking for months. It's the same people, I'm certain, you're going to see going to be the candidates for the PLP. But I want to bet you something here tonight, They got problems. They got a lot of problems. They have a lot of problems. And why they have a lot of problems is because they must not be like Judas is. God don't like ugly. And that is what's happening to them right now. Well, I want to bring a young man to the microphone. A young man who ran in 2015. A young man who ran in 2020 and succeeded. And he has done so much in the times of COVID. From 2020 till now, you think he was there since 2015. I mean, these are kind of things we got to remember, This is 2022. We were in the heart of COVID in 2020. We went through it in 2021. And we ain't even halfway here in 2022. But yet this young man has done a marvelous job. A fantastic job. But I'm not going to tell you some of the issues. I'm going to leave them to him. Because part of the big issue he must tell you about, maybe not tonight, but when we hit the real public meetings, as soon, not before the bell ring, before the bell ring, we're on the road. And part of the message and the issue he has to deal with is the issue of the Bastia High School. Because they come with all kind of thing. I hear right now, they have some Bajans here, Barbadians, Bajans, whatever you want to call them. And they're trying to see what they could do quickly to scrape up and scrape off the ground to make himself look like a champion, talk about Bastia High School going to start. By the dirty. I don't want to prolong the thing, but I hear about 5 or 6 of them was walking the Frigate Bay Strip this afternoon. There ain't no thing about the Frigate Bay Strip. Eh? Yeah, I can leave it up, man. There ain't nothing about the Frigate Bay Strip. Eh? An unelectable minister walking. Well, actually, it's about 2 unelectable ministers walking the strip today. Unelected and unelectable. Eh? And then one who the people of East Bastille fire. A comedy of errors there this afternoon. Comedy of errors there this afternoon. But I can leave them to their own devices. And I want to bring on to the microphone the chairman of the People's Action Movement, a young man who defeated Marcella Liebert and put her in retirement, and a young man who will ensure that Marsha Henderson does not even raise her ugly head in this period here. This young man won constituency number 2 by 273 votes, I believe, the last election. And he must ensure that he moves 273 votes to something in excess of 400 votes. Bring on Jonelle Powell to the microphone.
Members and friends of the People's Action Movement, good evening. Molyneux Constituency number 7, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. It's been a wonderful week so far for the People's Action Movement, and I'm sure you all can agree with me. It's been a wonderful week. We have continued to touch the people of this country through our Townhall series, and tonight we're here in Molyneux. But at the same time, we've had the privilege to announce 2 new exciting candidates to add to this dream team that we have here by the People's Action Movement. And I want to use this opportunity to once again welcome to the team our candidate for constituency number 8, the man who's going to ensure that the People's Action Movement retains that seat, none other than my colleague and friend, the soon-to-be Honorable Chesley O'Neill Hamilton. And I equally welcome to the dream team a man who's going to shake up things in constituency number 3. The man who's going to ensure that for the first time in the history of this country, the People's Action Movement brings home constituency number 3, West Bastille. I speak of the soon-to-be Honorable Kervin Milobox Freeman, the next representative for constituency number 3. I don't have to welcome Shani. Shani here all the time. We know Shani going with East Bastille. Nobody can touch her in East Bastille. Sorry, the soon-to-be Honorable Natasha Shani Gray Brooks. But tonight we're here to talk the business of the people, as we have always spoken about. And I want to ensure you that the People's Action Movement, when re-elected, back and forming the next government along with the CCM, will stick to the plan. We are going to continue the mission and build on the vision. All of the things that Teen Unity stood for and should have delivered, we will ensure that we deliver in a government of real unity. And so, when you hear Lindsey Grant talking about the Bastille High School, we will deliver. And let me say something to you all about the Bastille High School, you know. You hear Lindsey say, they have some people from Barbados on the ground now, and they're trying to do all kind of things now. And I show you also a WhatsApp conversation circling or making the rounds on social media just this week. Them things can happen or couldn't happen unless Jonelle Powell, as the Minister of Education, and Sean Richards, as the Minister of Public Infrastructure, put things in place for the Bastia High School to begin. Before, boy, I have to laugh, you know. Before they said it 4 years, because I remember we had done walk off for a long time. Before we were issued these instruments of dismissal, we had put everything that needed to be in place for the Bastia High School. The only thing that was left to do was for the Ministry of Finance to cut the check. So don't let anybody come at this 11th hour and want to play hero. Don't let anybody come at this time and want to play like they do something that we couldn't get done. We did the work. The same way they want to come and try and play like their savior. And they're coming with 10% increase for civil servants. We agreed to the budget that put in place the monies for that increase since December. Is PAM come up with that in October? Do not be fooled. That is what you call representation and working for the people by the ministers of the People's Action Movement. And like I said, we will continue. We will continue in the next dispensation of real unity with the CCM to continue that mission and build on the vision. When I look back at my time, my short time as the Minister of Education, I am proud of the work that I did on behalf of the people of this country. And I'm proud of the team that I had to work with to ensure that despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, St. Kitts and Nevis was seen as a leader in the Caribbean when it came to our educational system. We led the entire Caribbean, the only country in the Caribbean to have completed the entire school syllabus of the school year in 2021. The only country in the Caribbean who was able to start back school in September, full time. That is what you call representation, and that is what you call doing your job properly. And that is why the people of Central Bastia will come back and re-elect Jonel Powell, because they know I got their back and I know they have mine. And while I'm on education, I can't talk about education and not talk about the next Prime Minister, St. Kitts and Nevis. Because he laid a foundation for me to continue on. People don't forget that. Sean, how many persons in the educational system got master's degrees under your leadership? 54. Sean K. Richards came up, it was his idea, came up with a policy which resulted in 54 of our people getting the opportunity and actually getting master's degrees in education. That is what you call working. Nobody else can come and claim that. Same way nobody can come and claim the successes that we saw in tourism under the Caribbean's best tourism minister, the Honorable Lindsay Grant. That is performance. That is performance. You know, I remember, when I brought the idea of CPL to the cabinet, I remember one person say, cricket? A CPL, cricket can't eat. Cricket can't eat. But, oh Lord. But we were able, my team and I, to successfully negotiate the entire 33 games of the 2021 CPL being played here in St. Kitts and Nevis during COVID, resulting in $25 million indirect spend here in St. Kitts. $25 million. Well, if cricket can't eat, a lot of people eat off of cricket. A lot of people eat off of cricket at a low moment in our nation's history. The number of young people who got jobs, whether it was security, whether it was as groundsmen, as caterers, young people, transportation, young people. And think about it, you know. They might say, well, we custom to get CPL. You custom to get 5 games of CPL. Jonel Pearl brought 33 games, $25 million. And it was so sweet that I come back again this year. And you know, remember, imagine after that success and I go to the budget estimates and I say CPL, you know, they never give me the money. You know, even after that success, no funds had been allocated to the CPL in this budget. I had to go back again. But I went back, and with the support of my colleagues, we get CPL again. And it might not be 33 matches this year, but 31 is a lot of matches. And you're going to hear more about it. You're going to hear more about it as we go along. And while I'm on sports, I want to explain to you, my vision has been and will continue to be to build out our sporting sector and sports tourism, because people must understand how wonderful and beautiful it is to come and to play sports in St. Kitts. When we brought the Under-19 World Cup cricket here to St. Kitts in January, and we brought the teams here a stone's throw from where we are tonight to Molyneux, the mouth drop on the ground. They couldn't believe the rolling mountains in the back, the volcano. You're looking out at some bats, and man, one fellow out, he was so busy watching the view, he didn't see when the ball bowl him clean. We need to have more people come and experience St. Kitts, but at the same time to develop our young people, to develop our athletes, make them exposed to a higher level. It's World Cup, I tell you, World Cup standards. But not just the athletes. What about the coaches? What about the administrators? What about the umpires, the referees? It's not just about the athletes. And that is why we have to develop our sporting facilities and our sports persons, whether you're athlete or administrator, holistically. And Mr. Prime Minister in waiting, and next Minister of Finance, I want a bigger budget for sports. I want a bigger budget for sports so that we can build on that and to maintain our facilities properly. Last year, $3 million was allocated for the capital budget for the Department of Sports. Of that $3 million, 1.5 million, or 50%, was earmarked for the Tabernacle Sporting Facility. Now, I'm happy that the people at Tabernacle were able to get a sporting facility. It is still under construction. But today you heard Milo Box talk about the need to get Lime Keel fixed up. Other people must benefit. And so, I am advocating for a larger budget for sports. Because you can't get 3 million and 1.5 going to one facility. And so I was a bit perturbed when I was in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi in November, negotiating the Under-19 World Cup, to come here in January to find out that an additional $300,000 had been allocated by way of advance warrant by the Prime Minister, unbeknownst to me, for the Tabernacle Sporting Facility. Me as the Minister of Sport didn't know. Nobody said nothing, but I find out. But you know, I hope that the contractor, I think his name is Mr. Harris, is able to utilize those funds and finish the project. But don't worry. A lot of people said a lot of things, and we know that a lot of people, we've said a lot of things. Everything was coming to number 7, but that's all right, because the People's Action Movement, when we win the next election, will not forget about the people here in number 7. We will not forget about you. But we will ensure that everybody else get their fair share too. We must ensure that the people across the country get their fair share. It can't be one set getting everything. I don't know, there are people here in number 7 and here in Molyneux who have traditionally supported the People's Action Movement. All when we're talking about team unity, some of them still say, I's a PAM. And because of that, they were left behind. Well, your time will come. Your time will come for you to get your fair share. And I know there are some PLP people too who were left behind because maybe they had the right last name, maybe they weren't saying the right things, but you will get your fair share too. And so I use this opportunity to tell the people of Molyneux, to tell the people of constituency number 7 to come home to the People's Action Movement. Come home to PAM. This is a seat that we've won before. We have the support here. And I know that when we present our candidate for this constituency to you, you will support the People's Action Movement once again. We will not leave you behind. Our tent is big. And I don't mean the one we're on here tonight. I mean our national tent is big. And as I think as Lindsay said today, you know, whether you traditionally supported the old Labour, the new Labour, the fake Labour, don't worry about that. Come home to the People's Action Movement. I want to ensure that when we form the next government with CCM, our most vulnerable people are taken care of. Our elderly people are taken care of. Our young people are taken care of. And there's something that is near and dear to my heart that I must touch on before I leave tonight. I came up with the idea, after consultation, of establishing a training program. A training program that would help bridge the gap between leaving school and starting work. Too often, we got complaints from employers involved with this step, even in the private sector, that persons were coming out of school and they weren't really ready for work. They didn't know to talk to people, they didn't know to dress properly. And so we came up with this idea of a training program, preparation for the world of work. And I engaged a young local consultant, a young woman, lots of experience in management and a passion to get this program going. We consulted with a Fulbright scholar who was doing some work with the CFBC College, and we developed this program. But you hear it earlier, you know, it come like only some people must look good. And if you start to do too good and too much, too fast, they want to hold you back. And so, the consultant was engaged for a 6-month period, after which we would go to consultations with people like the STEP, people like the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and those different organizations to get feedback and roll it out. It started in October, the consultation. All of a sudden, January comes, consultant can't get pay. February comes, consultant can't get pay. March comes, consultant can't get pay. The entire program is stalled because 1, consultant can't get paid, and 2, we can't get the resources released to follow through with a training program for young people. That is what you want for your children? That is what you want for your young people? Well, not me, you know. You see where I am today, you know. I walk away from that kind of attitude and that kind of behavior because I know that under the leadership of Sean K. Richards as the Prime Minister of this country, our young people will be taken care of. We ain't come here to give you no money in your pocket. We ain't come to give you no money wrapped up in a shirt. We ain't come to give you no handouts. We come to give you a hand up. We are not about giving you a fish to eat tonight and then tomorrow you're either hungry or you're going to come back to us. We are about teaching you how to fish so you could feed yourself and feed your family. That is what you call true leadership. That is what you call vision. And so I invite all to support the People's Action Movement. Support the Concerned Citizens Movement because this is a movement. This is a movement. These town hall meetings represent a movement across the length and breadth of this country to ensure that our people are taken care of after the next general election. So I want you to support the People's Action Movement. Vote PAM come the next election. Make sure that your children who are 18 years and older are registered to vote. If they are registered, carry them. If your neighbor is registered, carry them. Because we have to show the outgone that we are serious about the lives and livelihoods of the people in this country. They say we take too long to make the decision, but we have to take our times. Because this is a serious thing. We had to look and consider that there was lives and livelihoods that were at stake. And I don't mean ours. The people. The people. And you can't play with that. You can't take them kind of decisions lightly. And we did what we had to do. At the right time, we pulled the plug. So when he come talk about, oh, you're fired, we don't gonna leave you long time. Like I write on the internet, it's like when a man writes a letter to a woman, to his girlfriend, and say, boy, I don't think it's working out, you know. I think we should break up. When she done, tell him 3 weeks out, we done, I gone, I got a new man now. And so people, rally with the People's Action Movement. Support the candidates of this People's Action Movement and ensure that we get a government of real unity come the next general elections. Thank you. God bless you. Good night.
Put your hands together for the Honorable Jonelle Powell. As we go along in these town hall meetings and soon to come public meetings, you are going to recognize a particular trend in certain things. You heard Jonelle speak tonight about the trend in the matter to do with the Bastia High School. As I go along, I'm also going to show you a particular trend. You know, I spoke to you this evening and told you there were some people walking the strip today. Well, let me tell you a little bit about that. That strip project is a project between the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean Development Fund in Barbados, the CDF. It's a project in excess, I think, of 7 million EC dollars. The government will put up some of the money and CDF will put up some money to do the project. The project was a project both seaside and landside. On the seaside, we had 2 engineers local from Deep Bay doing the project because I insisted that young persons who are trained and experienced here must get the job over those coming from outside. And we ensured that they got the work. Along with them, we had Reggie Francis doing the work. And we brought back the beach over Frigate Bay. If you go over Frigate Bay, you see how wide the beach is now. Beautiful. We brought it back with the enhancements we did over there. On the land side now, we put in the infrastructure underneath the road. You see, some of us forget it was a dirt road. You remember that? We always think we had the road. The road just came under this project. We have the infrastructure underneath. You see, we have the bathrooms and the police hut, but you realize it kind of stopped? You know why it stopped? They would not release the money from the Ministry of Finance. We got letters high, so begging them to release the money so the project will not be stalled. The CDF in Barbados, the Caribbean Development Fund, said they will not give this government one more red cent unless this government put up the money that they've agreed to put up. But they want me look bad, you see. So they would not release the money. But God don't like ugly. So when they walk in the strip today, I could imagine they're going to come with a flurry, maybe next week or the week after, to say, granted the project stall, but we got to letter them. We have to letter them. In fact, I went to a meeting with the Prime Minister, speaking specifically to the stalling of the strip project. As usual, he ain't know. Well, as a Prime Minister, he ain't know. We have written endless letters to the Ministry of Finance for the release of the funds, and the funds wouldn't come. But we're going to talk more about that as we go along. We will speak more about that. You see, I ain't talking no shoes. I ain't talking no shoes. You know, when we got into the office in 2015, cruise arrivals was 485,000. I see somebody respond to me, say, I lie. It was 750. Well, I got their own books, you know, saying it's 485. When you hear me talking, that is their own figures. But I want to tell you, this team you have up here moved cruise arrivals from 485,000 to $1.1 million passengers back to back before COVID. I said that to say to you that you have a team that will work hard for you in every single department. A team that will ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis progresses from strength to strength. A team who have been here year after year working for you and will continue to work for you. And we are going to make sure that the principal thing that we got into government on in 2015 was fair share. We didn't say equal. We didn't say equality. We said fair share. Because when we enhance Black Rocks, which is in this constituency, when we enhance that, it's millions we send them Black Rocks, over $1 million. And if you go to Black Rocks, you see how nice Black Rocks look. When I went into the estimates in October, November, and I said, since Black Rocks look so nice, we only need money now. Not this year, but maybe 2 years from now or a year from now on maintenance. I started to bat for the Eco Park. We beg some money for the Eco Park to bring it to a level, because we have been in discussions with the cruise lines and they said they like the idea. They're going to put hundreds of thousands of persons through the Eco Park for what we were going to do. We begged money for the Eco Park for the last 2 budget cycles. Up to now, not a cent. But hear what? But we argue in December. And when the budget came out, I see $100,000 for Black Rocks. But me ain't ask for no money for Black Rocks. I asked for money for Eco Park. But just to show you again, I told you, look carefully, you're going to see a trend. A trend. And a trend that has caused us to be here today. The trend that has caused us to be here today. Because I give this story that when I was in university, 3 of us used to live. Me, Pablo from Sandy Point, and we used to live with a white fella from Canada. If we have students be poor, sometimes I ain't even got money to catch bus to go campus, me walk. But you got a little food in the cupboard, because you must eat. And if we got with last dollar bread, you think Lindsey Grant are going to eat the whole dollar bread? Or 3/4 of the dollar bread? No. You try to get as much as possible to a third. You take a third, you take a third, you take a third. That's the whole. That is how you operate in your house and in your lives. So why it is so? Well, me vex them for getting them. I'm happy that they get them. But why when he come to the last of the house distribution, all gone mansion? I'm happy for the people of mansion, Don't get me wrong with that. I'm happy for them. All are saying, I don't think they should get all. But I'm happy for them. I mean, number 3 could have taken 1. Number 2 could have get 1. Number 5 could have get 1. We all could have get 1, and then he could have taken 10. But at least somebody or some constituency get 1. Those are the kinds of things we're talking about. However, we have an opportunity. We have a next opportunity come the next general election to give us a man who is going to understand and who knows about fairness. And that he's working for all of the people all of the time. Whether you're wearing red, whether you're wearing orange, or whether you're wearing yellow, we are here to work for everybody. Everybody we are here to work for. And we are going to put all our energy, all our time into ensuring that St. Kitts and Nevis grows from strength to strength. That is what we are here for. We are here at this juncture because we were dissatisfied in the direction the country was going. We promised you good governance. We promised you good governance. But some people ain't like good governance. Some people like to talk good governance, but when it comes down to brass tacks, as my grandmother used to say, they're falling short. And that is why we are here today. We are putting all our energy and our efforts behind the Honorable Sean K. Richards as the next Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis to make sure, and we know he's going to do well for the country. He has stood the test of time. He has been out there fighting along with us for a better St. Kitts and Nevis. And so Molyneux, Mansion, Atlas, wherever you are in this constituency, we are asking for an opportunity to serve you even better. We are asking for an opportunity to all of those who are going out on election day to vote for the People's Action Movement, and we will not disappoint you. We are saying to you, look at us carefully. Look at our track record. And as we said to you, we will keep the promise to you. And that is why we're here. I want to bring to the microphone the champion from constituency number 5, who has held that seat since 2004, because the people of Sandy Point and Fig Tree have rallied and rallied and rallied for Sean. And come 2022, they're going to be rallying even more for Sean, as Sean brings home the victory for constituency number 5. And Sean will be the next Prime Minister as we lead a big, better Nevis with Sean at the head of the government as Prime Minister. And I know, and you know, you will keep his feet to the fire because his performance will be second to none as we need the next government into the next 5 years. Welcome, Sean K. Richards, with a round of applause.
Give Chairman Grant the next round of applause. I could bring Licky up here to say it for me. Well done, Grant. Good job. Very good job indeed. Yep. Anything else, Captain? Everything good. I like that. I'm going to charge you for that ad. But Chesley is on the DuPont experience at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now I see a lady there with a bell. And it seems as though some people in this country can't find the bell. There it is. You might have to lend them. But then I like give back, you know. And they ain't like give back, they don't keep their promises. So you have to be careful. You might got to hire Chesley when you lend them the bell. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. People of Molineux, good night. Good night, good night. Of course, to all of the persons who are listening online, we welcome you. As a matter of fact, I say thanks to all of the persons who have been following this series of town hall meetings over the last few weeks. You have some of you who are here consistently for every single meeting. Give yourselves a round of applause. You have those of you who continue to tune in. You send your feedback, whether positive or negative, and we appreciate the feedback that you continue to provide us with. This evening, as we keep the promise to go to every single constituency, we are now in constituency number 7. It means we have 2 constituencies left, numbers 1 and 5. So next week, we move to those 2. But before we move to those 2, yesterday we went to constituency number 8, not for a town hall meeting, but to introduce you to the next representative for that constituency, Lawyer Chesley O'Neill Hamilton. Today, you joined with us to constituency number 3 as we introduced our candidate, Carvin Milo Freeman, to the people of this federation. Again, I commend both gentlemen for taking the bold step to put country above self and to join the team of the People's Action Movement, which will be part of the next government between PAM and CCM. Indeed, we're encouraged by the responses that we have received from those announcements. Those 2 persons were selected by our party because we felt right from the get-go that these two gentlemen can make a major contribution to our development. These two gentlemen and the others that we will announce in the upcoming days will be important additions to the core of our leadership. We are building a team not just to run a successful campaign, but a team that is going to govern this federation effectively. In fact, we believe that the issue of good governance is crucial to the development of this country. Effective governance is what will ensure that the benefits that you have received in the last 5 years under a coalition, a team unity government inspired by the People's Action Movement will go further to build upon those gains. We are seeking to put in place policies that will be more efficient. We are seeking to put in place programs whose ideas have come and whose execution has desired a lot. In addition, we need to address the many new realities by adjusting, repositioning, and expanding upon the existing social programs. The issue of equity in society is indeed an important one for these times. And when we say equity, we mean not just in terms of the distribution of government resources, but also in terms of ensuring that the people at the lower level of the ladder, that they have a better chance of moving up the ladder. It means that as a government, we must put programs in place that will pull these persons up the ladder rather than leaving them at the bottom of the ladder. That is why we have said to the government auxiliary employees that your issues must be addressed. That is why we said to those weekly paid workers that just as those who are on the pensionable establishment can look forward to a gratuity and a monthly pension when they retire, so too you must be able to do so. I see Alex shaking her head because Alex has worked as a government auxiliary employee. Alex has retired, and Alex cannot look forward to a monthly pension at the end of each month. You have had JE workers who have worked 20 and 30 and close to 40 years for government. And when they retire, somebody calculates a pension to give to them which is next to nothing. And at the end of it, they can't look forward to a monthly pension. We are saying that that must be addressed. Over and over again, you have been given promises, and those promises have not been fulfilled. We have said to you that PAM believes in keeping the promise. PAM gives a commitment this evening to the government auxiliary workers that within the first 100 days, we will rectify your issues. We also say to those who have retired within recent times that just as the former sugar workers were taken care of, that you too, you will be taken care of. Last night when I was in Kayan, a lady came to me and showed me a letter that she received in 2007, promising her that the time had come for the GAE workers to be taken care of. 15 years later, you're still in the same position. Last week I was speaking to Adeline from this constituency. Adeline from Atlas has made the very same complaint because she retired a few years ago, and up until now, she cannot get anything. She has asked about it. She has attended one-on-one meetings to ask about it. And all she has received is an empty promise. So to persons like Adeline, to persons like the lady from Kayan, to persons like Alex, we say to you that your time has come. You have those who ensure every day that your children receive a lunch, a meal, those who work at school meals. You have the men and women who prepare our grounds for CPL. You have the maids like Gloria at hospital who feed our sick persons at the hospital. You have the tradesmen at public works. They do just as good a job as pensionable workers, and they too, they must be looked after. That is why we say, fair share for all. And those at the bottom of the ladder, we must look after those persons and bring them up the ladder. We are determined to end the era of unfairness in whatever form it comes in. If we are to build a balanced and progressive society, the issue of unfairness must be confronted head on. Institutionalized unfairness can undermine the stability of the community and will stop key sectors from reaching their full potential. Too many of the GAEs have had to find a next job after they retire because they don't have a monthly pension to look forward to. They were paid almost at the bottom of the scale in government, and so in terms of social security, they receive far less than many others. In turn, to make ends meet, when they retire, they go and they find a next job. When they go and find the next job, it means that young persons coming out of school, one less job is available for those young persons. That is why we need to ensure that we look after those persons. Otherwise, the stability of the entire community will be undermined. And for pure persons who are victims of this unfairness, I say to you, this is not just an academic exercise. This is real talk pertaining to real people because it affects their lives. In the next few weeks and months, I want us to have these discussions. And that is why I like this current political period. Because while we are discussing politics, it is politics about the development of people. It is giving us a new context to discuss the direction in which our country must go. We must discuss what our values are and how those values inform how we govern. What are the policies that we must adopt in these difficult times to ensure that our people do not fall through the cracks? Given our limitations in terms of size, given the world environment, how can we build and maintain a sustainable economy? We must have those conversations. Are we satisfied with the progress that we have made as a country? Have the programs that we have implemented been effective enough? Have they met the intended targets? And have people gotten value for their tax dollars? Those are the issues which must be at the front and at the center of our emerging national dialogue. This coming election must be an election about stock taking. We must look at where we were, where we are, and where we are going. We must assess how we got to where we currently are. And now that we are here, what are we going to do to make things work, not just for one man, not just for one family, but for the majority of citizens of this country? And that is why we have chosen this method to communicate with you. We need your feedback. Indeed, there are some urgent issues that we must confront as a people. Cost of living is prime among those issues. When you look at the PAP program was implemented in part to address the cost of living and to address poverty. Yet, when you assess the program, you recognize that many persons have been left off of the program, not because they do not qualify for the program, but because of political victimization. We have had some who started getting the assistance because they qualified for it. And within a short period of time, they were removed from the program. I remember one day a young lady from Sandy Point called me. She said, I have been receiving the PAP, but for some reason, my monthly payment has stopped. I asked the young lady, have you had a conversation with Sustainable Development? She replied that indeed she had, and she was told that at the very top, instructions were given to remove her name from the program. The lady thought that I, as the constituency representative, was the one at the top who gave that instruction. We later discovered that Timothy Harris is the one who had the lady removed from the program simply because she doesn't support PLP. And I knew all along that the lady doesn't support PAM. However, for me, it wasn't about which political party the lady supports. It is about the fact that she qualified for the program, and upon qualifying for the program, she should receive the monthly $500. Instead, we have a man, if you say that you don't like him, you're victimized. If you say he belly too big, you're victimized. But if he belly big, he belly big. If somebody tell me my nose big, I accept my nose big. But that doesn't mean that the person isn't supposed to benefit from the resources in this country. If the person qualifies, the person qualifies. But instead, that is what we have happening. And while the lady and many others have been removed from the program, you have persons who are living overseas who are benefiting and who every single month receive the $500. That cannot be right. And that is why we say that unfairness must come to an end in this country. It cannot be that persons are now getting on the program because they have promised to vote for PLP. That cannot be right. I am certain that every single constituency that you move across, you can find persons who were removed because of political victimization. We keep our promises, and we said to you that unfairness must come to an end. Victimization must come to an end. And your government, under real unity and led by PAM, will move aggressively to address these issues. We said fair share for all, and we must keep our promise. Obviously, there must be some short-term measures to deal with the immediate challenge of poverty and cost of living. But over the long term, building a modern, robust economy is the antidote. An economy that provides more opportunities for more people. We must review how we use the funds that we generate from the Citizenship by Investment program. These funds ought not to be for recurrent expenditure, not for short-gap measures, but must be used to underwrite programs that will help to transform the economy. Right now, you have a prison being built in this constituency. And I do agree that there is a need for a new prison. However, my former cabinet colleagues can say to you that one day we were in cabinet, and here is a submission for the Citizenship by Investment program to be used to build the new prison. Now, while I said that I believe there's a need for a new prison, I must also question if those who have the interest in the building of this new prison, if it is really about the humanity of the prisoners. When you go and you examine the building of the new prison, you look at the clearing of the land for the new prison, it is being done by a Harris. The Citizenship by Investment program through which it is being built, we understand that you have a Harris selling or partaking in the Citizenship by Investment program as part of the building of the same prison as a service provider. You go down there, there's a container down there. When you ask persons about the container, they tell you it is a plant to build blocks for the same prison owned by a Harris. Owned by a Harris. And so you see this prison being built as part of CBI, and you wonder if it's really out of a genuine concern for the prisoners. The point that I want to make, though, is that we have issues with health care in this nation? Why is it that the same citizenship by investment program doesn't have a special carve-out to ensure that in terms of our healthcare sector, that it gets the attention and the development that it needs? We have been speaking about national health insurance because too many of our citizens can't afford health care. Some of the monies from that program can be used to jumpstart that national health insurance program. When persons have to go overseas to get CT scans and other services, similarly, some of those monies can be invested in our health care. You have many of our citizens living overseas. Some of them, when they retire, they tell you they want to come home, but they are not satisfied that in terms of the infrastructure, the services being offered for health care, that they can get proper health care when they return home. We need to use more of those funds to invest in modernizing and bringing up to date our healthcare system. We recognize that we are a small country, and perhaps it is not every single service that we will be able to provide. But indeed, there are some essential services that we must be able to provide. We must be able to use some of the money and send our healthcare professionals overseas to specialize in particular areas of concern. And that is what we promise to you under government of the People's Action Movement, under real unity between PAM and CCM. We have our young people who go overseas to pursue studies. Many of them go to Development Bank to take a loan. And if it is one constant complaint you hear from those persons, is about the interest rate and the amount of money they have to repay, not just when they return, but even the interest that they have to repay while they are out there studying. We are saying that some of that citizenship by investment money must be invested in the education of our young people to bring down the high interest rates. That is what we are saying to our young people. That is the promise that we give to our young people. Not when you return, you're stifled by the monthly payments. You can hardly afford to purchase a piece of land. You can hardly afford to purchase a vehicle or to do anything else because a large chunk of what you're making is going towards the repayment of the student loan. We will examine the possibility of not just reducing the interest rates, but perhaps for a period of time to give some support to our students while they are in university pursuing an education. If those young persons return to this country, the country develops because they come back to make a contribution towards the development of this country. So many of them remain overseas because when they begin to look at the high interest rates and the amount of money they have to repay each month and the opportunities for jobs overseas, they opt not to return, but to stay overseas and to give their labor, to give their talents to a next man's country. In order for us to fully develop, we must harness all of our resources in this country. We believe that there are better ways for us to use the money than what has transpired in the past. Of course, Minister Grant would tell you that tourism will always be one of the pillars of this economy. So many times he came to cabinet and he argued that he can't get money for this and he can't get money for that, but it's tourism bringing in all the money in the country. He and I used to argue because I used to tell him, if you don't educate the children, they can't work in the tourism sector for tourism to bring in the money. But you understand the argument that he has made, that tourism is an important pillar of development in this country. And so we need to ensure that the potential that we have to expand the sector and for more of our people to benefit from the sector, we can only do so if we provide the revenue and the support services which are needed for the tourism sector. Information technology is an area that is ripe for exploitation. And so we must ask the question, how do we use CBI to attract those type of businesses here? You look, every young person in this country has a cell phone. Every young person in this country has a computer. And so when you look at technology, you recognize that we are the consumers of it rather than being the producer of technology in this country. What is stopping us here in this country from becoming innovators, from producing some of the technology that we use rather than having to export it? I understand Cajola Cristada is closing down in November. What are the new industries that we are attracting to this country to absorb not only those persons who will be out of a job, but to absorb other young persons? We have had a robotics team which has gone overseas and which has represented this country well, which was ranked amongst the best worldwide. We need to ensure that in terms of information technology, we develop it so that those persons do not go overseas to study and remain overseas because they feel that St. Kitts doesn't offer opportunities for them to develop their skill set. That is what Real Unity will be pursuing on behalf of the people of this country. We will expound on all of these ideas in our upcoming manifesto. Of course, our greatest resource happens to be you, the people of this country. And the emphasis on education and training in helping to retool our people to be productive citizens in this modern economy must take priority. As I said the other night, on our platform, we shall continue to fight to keep the things which have worked well in the last 7 years. We will preserve your jobs. We will expand your opportunities. We will continue to engage you. One of the things which didn't work well in the last 7 years is that of Timothy Harris, and we will get rid of him. As I close, I say to you that we will change the things that have undermined the concept of real unity. And one man has single-handedly undermined the concept of real unity, and we will change that. Good night.
Give the Honorable Sean K. Richards, the next Prime Minister, a big hand for that wonderful speech that he just gave, setting out some of the policies that we intend to go into come the next general election. We are at that time, the time of questions from the community, from the audience. You can come to the microphone that's in the center. You ask your question, and then that question will be directed to whomsoever to have it answered. I see we have the first person at the microphone.
This is not a question. I come here tonight instead of staying home to remind the people who are supporting PAM that when you make assessment in this country of political parties, check it out good. PAM and CCM has the easiest way of winning this election. Before a vote cast on election day, PAM and CCM is certain of 4 seats. What am I talking about? Nobody could beat Back Brantley in Nevis. Nobody could beat Sean in Sandy Point. That's 4 out of 11. I am asking the people of PAM not to be tired. Just pick up even 2 seats and we go and go lay down in the bed. But from here until the campaign ends, do not give up in doing good. Open your Bible in Galatians 6:9 and you'll see it. The man who do not tire out will reap. I came here tonight, and as soon as I arrived, a reporter came and asked me for an interview. I gave the interview. As soon as I finished the interview, a group of fellas called me across the street and told me, "DuPont, we're disappointed. Timothy Harris promised us things in Phillips's since the first election when Unity got together, and only today he came to tell us we're going to get the things tomorrow. Could you put it on your show tomorrow?" He going on the show. This is what I'm talking about. Me a old man, me not waste no more of my time because of the loyalty of Sean Richards. I am not only working in this campaign, you know. Me a spend my own money, you know. Me not use no government money, you win no election, you know. All the money we're going to use Saturday night to go to Nevis to support CCM and me money. So all I come here tonight to tell you all, PAM supporters, I don't know how are you so strong. Keep working till the job done. I feel there is some hope, and Chesley give me energy. Myla Box give me energy. And tomorrow, I'm going to withdraw from the election and I'm walking in number 3 with Myla Box. He will win.
Thank you, Mr. Yupon. Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? I see someone approaching the microphone.
Good night, good night.
Good night.
Question to the party leader. Mr. Richards, what position will agriculture play in our PAM administration? The reason asking that is because we got to start thinking seriously about food security. And I know right now there's some challenges in the agricultural sector. Thank you. Yeah, there are some challenges in the agriculture sector, and it is a serious issue with the farmers because There's a lot of things right now the farmers cannot access from the agriculture department. One, the tractor service. You're thinking about chemicals and other supporting things for the farmers. And I realized recently that I see bulldozers threatening farmlands. So it made me start to wonder if we are going to see another Ben Phipps again. Because some farmers have been threatened and asked to leave their land. So I want to know what position will agriculture play in a PAM administration.
Good night. Thanks, Troy, for that question. As I indicated during my remarks, we need to ensure that we build a sustainable economy going forward. Agriculture must be given priority as part of that sustainable economy. We need to ensure that we are in a better position to feed ourselves. We need to ensure that in terms of some of the industries, for example, I spoke to the fact that the tourism industry needs to be expanded. Rather than having the hotels having to import just about all of the produce which they feed their guests, we need to ensure that our farmers are able to benefit from the tourism industry. In my remarks at Marriott a few weeks ago, where I outlined some of the things, I think some 14 things that we intend to do, I also said that we need to engage the Taiwanese to ensure that some of the fruits and vegetables that we currently waste, that we are able to, whether it is make jams or other byproducts from those fruits and vegetables, so that we can consume them locally and also export overseas. Our farmers must feel safe and secure in terms of being able to ply their trade. They should not feel threatened by a government, whether it is in terms of having someone at the helm who isn't supportive of them, having their farmlands plowed up, as you indicated, might be currently happening. They too must also be given the resources to be able to fully develop agriculture. We know that we have issues such as being able to provide some of them with water. We know some of them need assistance with marketing. And so, fencing. Lindsay is actually a farmer. So he, in particular, is in tune with some of the issues facing farmers. As a matter of fact, he said he wasn't going to run if the election was held in 2025 because his intention was to go into farming full time. So we do have persons as part of this team who fully understand farming. But apart from having persons, we must ensure that within the Ministry of Agriculture, we employ persons, we get the technical expertise of persons who understand farming, persons who are passionate about farming, not persons in the ministry who are hell-bent on victimizing persons because of where they live or because of who they support. Again, agriculture must be given priority. We have young people in this country who do agriculture in school, and we find that what happens after those persons graduate from school, they move into different areas because they do not feel that agriculture is a viable alternative. They will only feel that it is a viable alternative if the government gives it the priority that it deserves. Thank you.
Any more questions?
While I'm on the mic, I heard my phone ringing. I went over there. Isn't this sad though? That Timothy Harris stopped Star Shield money in Sandy Point because he didn't vote for Sean. The money that they don't give Star Shield a month, they stop it. I just want all you to know.
While we wait to see or wait for the next person to come forward, I think it would be remiss of us if we did not address a matter which is very near and dear to the people of Molyneux. And that is the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School, which is just a stone's throw away from here, which suffered a fire due to arson about 2 months ago. The next government of the People's Action Movement and CCM, the government of real unity, will ensure that the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School is rebuilt immediately, and not just rebuilt, but expanded and improved. That is a commitment that we give to the people of Molyneux and to the students and parents and staff of the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School. While I am on primary schools and constituency number 7, for a number of years now, the Estridge Primary School has been underpopulated. One school year, 25 students in the entire school. Another school year, 30, 27. And for many years, there has been a recommendation by the necessary technical persons to amalgamate or join the Estridge Primary School population with the Edgar T. Sorry, we've had a long day. With the Edgar T. Morris Primary School. This is something that the parliamentary representative has fought against for some time. The backdrop to this is that you have an entire primary school in Estridge with 25 students, and you're putting resources into that. While you have the
Edgar?
No, Cotton Thomas, Lord forgive me, we had a long day for true. Well, you have the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School, which is full, which needs resources, which needs expansion, which is currently housed in a unit which is part of the William Connor Primary School, which itself is bursting at the seams. And so as a part of a comprehensive educational reform with our primary schools, we will join the Estridge Primary School with the Edgar T. Morris Primary School and move the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School to the premises now occupied by the Estridge Primary School, so as to give the students of the Cotton Thomas Primary School their own campus, more space to accommodate the 100 plus students that go to that particular school, thereby enabling natural expansion for the growing population at the Dr. William Connor Primary School. Again, these are things that should have been done but had been frustrated by Timothy Harris. Our government of real unity will ensure that all of these students and teachers have the tools, the premises, and the resources that they need to teach and develop the young people of our nation.
Any other questions or any other comments? Any other questions or comments? If there are none, I would ask Mandicia to come forward to give the vote of thanks.
Members and friends of the People's Action Movement, good night. Tonight I am here to give the vote of thanks. I first give thanks to the Most High, God. He has brought us and our beloved party a long way, and He will continue to carry us further. Thank you to the wonderful people of Constituency 7 for hosting us here this evening. To our leader and his team of candidates, thank you for dedicating your life to serving us, the people of this federation. To all of our listening audience, online or radio, we thank you for tuning in with us tonight. To our sweet, sweet, and nice PAM supporters in our live audience, our sweet, sweet, and nice kitchens and divisions at home and abroad, thank you in advance for making the People's Action Movement and the Concerned Citizens Movement our next government. Good night and God bless you.
I know the vote of thanks was given, so we want to wish you traveling mercies on your way home. But before you do that, there are some snacks in the back provided by the good constituents of number 7. So we'd wish you to partake of them and get home safely this evening.